I might have to move it.
I think you might have to move it.
Oh my word. It's opposite.
Other way. There we go.
How do you guys deal with that? It's mirrored.
It is mirrored.
Yep. You just get used to
No,
it.
you just cut me off.
I know. I do it all the time.
It's inverted.
It's inverted. That's good.
Yep. Yeah. Perfect.
You look so tiny.
You do. I was like, why do you look so tiny compared to us? It's like we're fucking giants next to you.
Mel, swing your chair out just a little bit, and then Ashlynn, scoot your chair in.
Okay. I think it's an optical illusion.
It is a little bit.
And I think
Okay, there we go.
you might have to come out on the chair just a little bit, so you're not as far, if you're okay with that.
But if your back starts hurting, you can sit back.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll
I think
try
that
this
looks
as well.
better.
Oh, my hair is looking.
We really need to get a lower chair.
Is that not low?
It might. I don't know.
Yep, ready?
There we go. That's better.
Oh,
That's so
yay!
much better.
Our
Okay, I was
heads are
like,
all
you're just
even.
too tall.
Okay.
Guess what, guys?
We're not doctors.
No, we are not.
If you're going to be making any major medical decisions, please consult your doctor.
Yes, and that includes diets, exercise, medications, and surgery.
We love you guys.
And we want you to be in our OSLP family forever.
So be careful.
And consult
Your doctors. We love ProCare. You guys know this. And guess what? They have a brand new product out and it tastes like an orange Tic Tac.
That's right. I have got it in my hot little hands right now. It's their easy to swallow tablet in Citrus Grove. And both of us have fully switched over to it.
We had to because it's easy to swallow, doesn't stick, and it has 45 milligrams of iron. And we both need that.
Yes, we do. So go to procarenow.com to take care of all your bariatric body needs. And our code is the only one that gets you a full 15% off. So use code OSLP at checkout.
Are you located in the Florida area?
Well, we have the perfect office for you. Dr. Fridley and his wife, Macy, have created the perfect, welcoming, and safe place for your bariatric journey.
That's right. So click on the link below to start your weight loss journey now. And don't forget to tell them that the OSLP's girls sent you.
Welcome back, OSLP family. Welcome back, OSLP family.
Welcome, welcome.
You are listening to our Sleeve Life podcast, and this is Kelly.
This is Mel.
And we want to always remind you, we have a goddamn website.
Yes, we have a website.
And you need to go over there. And there's a couple reasons why you want to go over there, and immediately getting onto our website, you will see a little box pop up that says sign up for the newsletters.
Yeah, but how do they get to our website? I
mean,
believe that's oursleevelifepodcast.com. And yes, that box will pop up, and that is for the newsletters that are very, very important because we have lots of things coming up.
for everybody just listening, not watching, I just rolled my eyes at her. So
She did.
there's that.
But that's
So sign up for that because you will then be in the know for all of the meetups, live shows,
tours,
events,
just be you.
tours. Yeah, all of it is going to be through that the newsletter. I just apparently needed to
Go blah, blah, blah,
spin
blah.
out for a second. Okay. So all of that is going to be on the website. Now, also on the website at the top right corner,
Yeah, right-hand corner.
you will see become a patron.
Mm-hmm.
You want to click that button because they get benefits to being a patron.
They do. What's really cool is that if they're on our website, they actually get discounts on merch that's over there. They get to hang out with us monthly.
Yep.
We have several different tiers. You definitely want to do at least $7 or higher, so
Yep.
that way you get to be entered into our winner's circle. Right? Is the winner's circle on there?
It's
But it's our
winners.
benchies.
Yeah, it's our benchies.
It's our benchies.
Yeah.
And that's our personal support group.
Yep, it's on Facebook. It's not one of those Facebook groups, so get that out of your head.
Crazy.
But there are over 200 people in that group, and they're all loving and supportive and just want to be a support for everybody else going through
it's
this surgery.
fun because there's almost 300 people.
Yeah.
And we have men and women, and we have a range from like 24 all the way up into the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have any questions, there is someone that can help you. And if they can't, me and Kel will find someone that can help us.
Yes.
Yeah, we've done it before.
Yep. And we do have our moderator, admin, Katie. And she answers questions and makes sure that we celebrate with you for surgeries, birthdays, all of those things. So there's also a free way to support us.
There's always a free way.
There's always a free way, and it's preloaded on your phone. So click on YouTube, type in Our Sleep Life Podcast. We are the only ones. Hit subscribe and that little bell so you're notified when future videos like this drop.
Yeah, because it's kind of special. If you're on YouTube, you would know that we actually have a guest in-house.
In the studio.
Yeah, just waiting patiently.
This has not happened in a long time.
Not with this setup.
No.
Ooh, first to the new setup.
Yeah.
Well, guess what, guys? We have Miss Ashlynn Douglass here in the studio. She's a social worker / therapist, right?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
That's why I usually just say, we have Ashlynn, and then you guys get to say your own.
It's true. It's Ashlynn Douglass Barnes. Got it.
Yes.
Right. She'll get there. It just might be a little bit.
It's true story.
Yeah. Yeah.
So welcome, Ashlynn.
Thank you guys so much for having me.
Yeah.
It's so fun to be in, I almost said Washington. We are not in Washington.
No.
We're in Oregon. It is super fun, especially from Florida. This is such a different landscape.
Yeah.
It's been so amazing though. And yeah, everything's so green.
Yes.
So green.
Well, and you're hitting the perfect time because it's rainy but sunny, and so all the flowers and the green are popping out now. I love it.
Well, she got to meet true Oregon today because it's sunny, rainy, and hailing all in one day.
Oh, it was hailing?
Yep. When I was putting on my makeup, hail was coming from the sky.
All right.
Yeah.
But okay, social worky thing, or
Yes.
therapist-y thing. I was thinking about earlier today how the only way for things to be as green as they are here is because of all the rain.
Yep.
Yeah.
So because it's so like depressing and rainy, you guys get really cool, like all those pink trees.
Yeah.
All
Oh,
these
yes.
trees, and you freaking like roses in your front yard.
There's yellow roses in
And
my
I'm
front
like, how do they? Because in Florida, it just all burn up.
Yard.
And I'm like, oh, because they get rain, they can have cool stuff, and
right.
nothing burns up.
Yeah.
So,
But the downside is like what we were talking about is the pool.
yeah.
You're like, oh, I didn't realize people have pools here. And I was
No.
like, yeah, but we only get to use it like max 3
Right,
months
years,
a
yeah.
year.
That's what I was like. That's a lot of commitment.
It
For
is.
3 months.
I have
of
a pool in my
use.
backyard.
Yeah, but it helps. It helps during the summer.
It
to
does
have
because
it.
I'm a cheap person and I don't have AC in my house. So
You don't have
look at that
AC?
face.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Did
yeah.
you get hot?
Yeah, but I jump in the pool and hang out and get
Do you
out.
have a
and I'm
window
fine.
AC?
Yes, I
Oh,
do.
okay.
I do. I won't
So
lie
you're
about that. I
savage.
do have one of those. But that's like for the whole house though. So yeah.
That's crazy. Where do you put it?
Well, I used to put it in my window, and then last year I didn't actually at all, and we just had one in the living room.
Yeah.
Just use fans, and then the.
I lasted 1 month at my place without AC, and I was like, nope,
It's not required here.
it is not.
You could get an apartment and it had no AC.
Yeah, 100%.
My condo doesn't have.
Oh my god. Her apartment named condo.
Yeah.
Does. Yeah, it did not come with one.
Condo did not come with
Wow.
AC, and so I bought one of those little portable air things, and it works perfect for my little tiny condo.
Yeah, because in Florida they have to.
Oh
You
yeah,
could
yeah, yeah.
die.
You would die.
You would die. So
Like,
they have.
legit, you
Everybody
would
has
die.
to have one.
We've already had 90s before 9, where it's 90 degrees before 9 a.m.
Oh my goodness!
God.
Already?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, we
Oh,
had.
I
I
love
think we had
Florida
our
for that.
first one end of February, beginning of March. It's gonna be a hot summer.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna be there.
We're gonna be there
several times.
That's right. So
Yes, it's
ridiculous.
why we just need to invest in a condo.
A condo.
Support their
named
Patreon
apartment.
so they can get.
We
a
name
condo.
an apartment. We're gonna
Yes.
name an apartment.
Yep. We're gonna flip flop. It's gonna be Iceland and Greenland. How it's flipped.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like it. I like it.
All
All
right,
right.
Ashlynn. So, what is the main thing that we're gonna discuss today?
Okay, so today we're going to talk about how to view failures as learning opportunities.
I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really harsh on myself.
Mm-hmm.
And even when I did my regain, I literally told Kelly in the studio, in the seat, and I'm like, I'm not failure.
Yeah, I was like, you're not a failure. Was I a failure?
See, I didn't look at you as a failure.
Exactly.
I just looked at myself
exactly.
as one.
Yeah.
I was like, I fucked up. Yeah.
Well, and I feel like you could admit, like, hey, I made some mistakes.
Yeah.
But that doesn't equal failure.
Correct.
Right. So let's start where all the shit comes from. So you have a therapist in the house.
Yes.
So we're not doing therapy. Disclaimer: we're not doing therapy.
No.
But for most of us historically, we have been told that we've done something wrong, and that's why we're in larger bodies. So we're not trying hard enough. We're not doing the right things. We're not eating the right things. We're not moving our bodies enough. We're not, whatever the thing is, like, we're not trying hard enough, right?
Yeah,
so we failed.
Mm-hmm.
And then the ultimate failure is that we failed so bad that we had to have surgery.
Yep.
Right. So that's the belief system that we've been
That's how I
told.
felt.
It has to be last ditch effort.
Yep.
Yep. And so because of that, we have this cycle in our brain that says we have to not fall back into old habits.
Correct.
I hate that phrase as a therapist, because the problem is that those are not old habits. They're just ways that we have been surviving, and we don't have a better way of doing it. And if we did, we do it.
Yeah.
So a belief in therapy is that all human behavior has a purpose.
Okay.
So we don't do anything just because, right? So, and if I knew better, I'd do better.
Yep.
Specific to a type of.
I've literally
of
said it to
therapy.
myself.
Right.
Yeah.
If we knew what to do, we do it. Which it's interesting because also we've always identified obesity as a behavioral issue.
Yes.
Yes.
Right. Which,
Yes.
FYI, anyone listening, obesity is a medical condition that has underlying causes.
Yes.
It is a disease.
It is not a behavioral.
It is not something
It's not
that you did
willpower.
because you were bad or
Right.
none of that.
And the awesome thing is we now have more research that actually shows like what systems are being lit up or not lit up and all that good stuff.
That's so interesting to me.
It's so, because I'm so happy now we can tell people that your trauma impacted your brain and how your body actually processes holding on to fat or not, versus you ate so you'd be bigger so people wouldn't fuck with you. Because that's the old belief, right? Is that childhood trauma, you thought if you got bigger, no one would fuck with you, or if something of those lines. And that's not, some people, maybe that's true, but actually what's happening is like systems are getting lit up, and there's like researchers out there that are much better explaining this. But again, it's a disease process, which means that it needs a disease process treatment that is lifelong.
Oh,
Okay,
I like that.
all right.
I have a couple things. You go first.
Okay, so when you said the whole like eating so that people wouldn't mess with you or fuck with you, which I like the fuck better, but I was thinking about my 600 pound life or all of those, because that's what it came out like when I watched those before having surgery. That's what I took it as.
Oh.
Is they had trauma. They always had deep trauma. And so it was like, that was their form of coping.
Which it can be. I think that's the complication of obesity, is it's all things.
Yeah.
So you might have had trauma where your brain believed things.
Okay.
And then your system adapted to those beliefs. And then as you further went into the disease process, your ability to have other coping skills decreased. So where maybe exercise was painful, so now staying in my home feels safer. And so now I have less opportunities, and food is what I look forward to. But that's not because you had a willpower issue. It's because the disease process slowly diminished your coping.
Wow.
So you had less and less. And you can see too, when you get bed bound, so for 600 pound life, often your ability, your options to cope or find joy, or even like getting in your car and going places, is so diminished that all you have left is food. And that's the kind of the complication of obesity, is it's everything. And that's why it's so complicated to treat, because it's like we need to treat the underlying feelings of unworthiness, of success. So a lot of us, myself included, have a lot of stuff about worthiness of being on this earth, not from like a suicidal standpoint. And I've said this probably on your podcast like 3 times now, but just from a like, if you don't prove that you're worth being here, then you shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
And so if you're not producing, if you're not helping, if you're not being nice, if you're not like showing up, so this shows up people pleasing, if you're not being the best fat person that ever lived, then you're not worthy of continuing on. And so that belief process then turns into failure. So I tried to set a boundary and tell someone something. Their response was negative towards me. And I'm like, whoa, no more boundaries. That was bad.
Yeah.
Because I'm a mean fat person. And I don't want to be a mean fat person. I have to be a nice fat person. And so again, that's how that people pleasing or boundary, like we don't get really good with boundary setting because we're like, oh, you want to be my friend? The fact that you even want to be my friend, I should do everything and anything to be your friend, even if that sacrifices myself.
You all might be asking yourselves, why do these girls love Just Meat so much? Well, we're going to tell you.
Yeah, because so much freaking flavor, guys.
Yes,
like,
oh my God.
Insane. And I love to cook, and this has cut down my cooking time like in half. Literally the meat part, 2 to 3 minutes.
Who doesn't want that for cooking? And I love, love, love the fact as a single person, I can cook one pack and eat that for the rest of the day, the rest of the week.
Yeah.
The rest of the week, people. And I love that it comes straight to your door. I don't have to go to the grocery store. I don't know about you, but I don't like going to the grocery store.
No.
So having this delivered is ultimate.
It is ultimate. And you just go to justmeats.co, pick out all your different flavors. You can really mix and match what you want, and then use OSLP 25 for you to get $25 off your order.
Go now. Are you feeling a little sluggish? Little lack of protein? Little lack of caffeine? Well, we got the fix for that.
That's right. Dive Bar Nutrition has the best protein bars. They have caffeine, protein, and they taste delicious.
So head on over to divebarnutrition.com and use code OSLP at checkout.
Which that relates a lot to
our friend group.
Our friend group and our relationships.
Yep. Like our friend group, some of them weren't the nicest. And
they were assholes.
Yeah. And we were literally nice to them because we were bigger. I know for me, I was.
No,
I was nice to everybody because of that. I didn't want to come off rude or mean. And I always wanted to be the person that could defend someone.
Right. And the underlying level of that is I have to show you that I'm worthy of you even being my friend.
Yeah.
So I have to show up all the time for you. I have to do, so that ties into why people feel they're failures. Because there's an intense feeling that I have to do it right and I have to show up and I now have to be, because I declared that I have bariatric surgery, I now have to be the best bariatric patient that ever lived. Because otherwise it will show that I wasn't worthy of it to begin with, which I didn't feel I was worthy anyways.
Yeah.
And so it's the cycle goes on and on.
Well, I think if you listen to old episodes, I literally said I didn't want to be a failure.
Yeah.
So that's why I was doing 2-a-days for a little while. I was like, nope, I don't want to be a statistic of someone that regains and puts all their weight back on. I don't want to be that person that they look at and be like, oh, she fucked up. She's a failure. So I did everything in my power to not become quote unquote a failure to everybody else.
But that isn't sustainable. That's not a sustainable way to be a bariatric patient.
No.
And even if you get up and all you did was get your protein that day, you're still a good bariatric patient.
Yeah. But you're still doing the things.
So your definition needs to change.
And the way that you think of it needs to change. And I want to tie back to you were describing my aunt. So I have a family member, unfortunately, that got hurt. I would say around 12, 13. And it was a sexual thing and she got hurt. And so her coping mechanism became if I get so big, then no one will want to touch me.
Right.
And ever hurt me like that again. But it's hurt her so much that she doesn't come out and see us. She won't get on a plane. She doesn't like to drive. She can't drive long hours. And she's at least 16, 17 hours from us. So she would have to take breaks and do these things. And it really sucks because now, because of something that happened when she was such a young age and how her brain processed it and how she coped with it, now she can't be with her family.
Right. And the interesting thing about childhood sexual abuse is it has nothing to do with what you look like. It had to do with the fact that you were a child.
That you were just there.
So by being larger, smaller, whatever, that would not have changed the outcome.
No.
And it's really hard for our brains to believe that, because our brains believe when bad things happen to us that we somehow brought it on, because otherwise it wouldn't have happened. Because as we're children, this makes sense, right? So when we're parents, or I'm not a parent, but if you're a parent,
I'm a parent.
you teach kids that bad things happen to bad people and good things happen to good people, right? So that's our basic, because it's too complicated otherwise. So we say, you know, the bad man goes to jail, and the bad man and the good man does this. So if something bad happens to you, our little brains are like, well, bad things happen to bad people. So I must be bad. So I must have done something that caused this. Or if it's repeat abuse, there's often a lot of shame because our bodies are still going to respond however they're going to respond. And so some people, especially when they come to therapy, what we actually end up working is the shame that they felt pleasure from the sexual abuse, because that's a thing. Like, our bodies are still going to respond how they're going to respond, or even sometimes when you're young, you may seek it out because it feels good.
Right.
And so then they're like, well, I wanted it, and so it's this really complicated, like, you should have never been in the situation to begin with, regardless. And so again, it's this kind of feeling of, because that happened to me, I now have to make up the rest of my life because of that, because I'm a bad person. My entire persona has to be being a good, perfect person. So
and
we see a lot
of, they never talk about it either.
Right.
They just know that they're bad, but they're
no
not.
one ever checked in and was like, "Hey, am I a bad person?" Like, no, it's like, well, I just know this, and everyone else must know this, and so I just have to show up. And then the problem, of course, is it's a positive feedback. So I'm good, and then I get good feedback. And then I continue to be good. And then I get good. But it's interesting because it'll show up sometimes in anger.
Okay.
So they'll be good. Can't handle it. Good. Can't handle it. And then you'll get this. Well, and you're describing me as a kid, right? And so they'll be like, oh man, you used to get angry. And I'm in my head, I'm like, do you know how hard I was trying to be not burdensome to everyone around me?
Yes.
And occasionally when I stood up for you and then you yelled at me about something, it made me really mad, because I was spending a lot of time not being a burden. And then you were giving me feedback like I'm a burden, and I couldn't take it. And so burdensome, that's going to be a theme. Burdensomeness, not being burdensome. And it's interesting with surgery that comes up, because you have to rely on other people temporarily when you have surgery. So any historical feelings around burdensomeness usually come up a lot around surgery, because you may have to take time off work.
Yeah.
So now you're burdened. Yep. Or your family members, if you have children or pets, someone else has to take care of them. So all those old feelings around burdensomeness and the avoidance of burdensomeness, the avoidance of feeling, that's where that, like, I can't take care of myself comes from.
Well, I kind of think with the burden thing, could that have to do with patients not wanting to bug their surgeon?
Oh, yeah.
Or bug their dietitian.
Yeah.
Like, something's going on.
Please bug your.
Yeah. And you should be talking to your surgeon about it, but instead you're like asking random people on social media.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, most of us will, the good ones, should push you towards like, hey, talk to your surgeon, talk to your dietitian. But I hear it so much, like, I don't want to bug my surgeon. I don't want to bug.
I've said that.
Yeah.
Like, this is a little thing. This is a silly thing. Like,
but that's their job.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that it's where, and we're going to get into like, what do we actually do when we feel we're a failure? That's part of like the process to figure that stuff out, is to kind of do the opposite action sometimes. So if I feel like I'm going to be burdensome, show up and see who shows up for you. Because sometimes what that shows you is you actually do have people in your corner. You do actually have people. And then the thing with your brain is it needs lots and lots of tiny instances where it's right. That's how it believes things.
Oh,
people think it's a big thing. So like one big, my husband throws me a surprise party, and that means he loves and cares about me.
Right.
But if 90% of the time that's not happening, your brain will not believe that. But if he shows up for you, he does little things for you, he like remembers something. It's all those tiny things that your brain is like, oh, that person is safe.
Yeah.
They love and care about me. They bring me peanut M&Ms because they thought about me in the grocery store. It's not like the 100 roses. It's all these little tiny things.
Yeah.
Because that's what our brain believes, like someone is safe or someone is good or I'm worthy of that.
Because it's consistent, and our brain loves routine and consistency.
It's looking for evidence.
Yeah.
And so the problem is it goes both ways. if I think I'm burdensomeness and I back up and I'm like, I can't get any of my needs met, and then things like go downhill or aren't going, it's like, yep, that's it. I got to be less of a burden and less, because my brain believes it's getting evidence.
Yeah.
So when we start to work against some of this stuff, it's going to feel fake and weird and a lie in the beginning.
Okay.
Our brain is going to say, how you are not allowed to believe that, because we have all this evidence to suggest otherwise. This is your fault. You're doing it wrong. You're not trying hard enough. But then we just keep, so we do a little fake it till we make it in the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
We have to, because anytime we're changing a pattern within our brain, it's a well-established pattern. But the amazing parts about brains, called neuroplasticity, if you want to Google it, is that we can create new pathways in our brain.
Yes.
At any given time. And they can be good and bad, so be careful with that. But we can establish new pathways in our brain by doing it over and over. So I think of it like if I wanted to do a path through the forest,
Okay.
and I had a machete, like the first, you probably don't have it. What do you guys have out here when you want to clear forest? A machete? That's what we have in Florida.
Hatchet? Okay. Yeah, I don't know.
Whatever you're going
A
to clear.
chainsaw?
A chainsaw. Yeah, your
Okay.
trees are much
Okay.
bigger.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
big.
chainsaw. We're
Yeah.
gonna go with chainsaw.
Okay, so the first time we go through with the chainsaw, we're not going to get everything.
No.
There's going to be shit left, and but we got to keep going, and then we're going to walk over it. We're going to walk over it. We're going to walk over it, and eventually that pathway will become normalized. And then we'll take the path. So in Orlando, we have I-4, and it like goes down I-4. And so sometimes we have to create detours because our brain would like to take the quick way, which is I-4.
So
major
would our
highway,
phones.
right? Oh, I know, right? I hate I-4. Yeah,
That's why we were
Orlando,
late.
you're listening. Oh no,
What are we talking about?
I-4, the big highway.
Yeah.
That's a pain in the ass. In
Oh,
Orlando.
the one that we, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because it didn't want us to go on I-4.
Right, and it's two
And-
o'clock on a
yeah.
Tuesday, and it's
Yeah.
backed up an hour. So anyway, so your brain will want to go I-4 or your major corridor because that's the fastest, the quickest. It's what you've always done.
It's what we know.
So sometimes we have to create these little detours, and then if we take the detour enough, then our brain learns, don't go on I-4, it hurts you.
Yeah, just
Don't go on I-4, it's not worth your time. Don't go on I-4, even though it's faster, it's not what you really need. You really need this other way. And so that's what we have to do in our brain, and it's going to take a while, and it's going to feel fake, and it's going to feel not real in the beginning, and that's okay. It's really old shit. This is really old stuff. If you don't feel worthy, you didn't wake up one day feeling that way. You have felt that way for a really, really, really long time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to take a hot minute for you to decide that that's true. But the cool thing about your brain is once you start running these little experiments and you're like, oh, okay, that person showed up for me, and like, oh, that felt okay. Your brain will start to look for it.
Yep.
Oh, that person left the door open for me. Maybe I'm not invisible.
Ooh.
Oh, that's interesting. That person bought the coffee that was behind me or in front of me. Like, oh, that's maybe I'm not invisible.
Right.
So-
You're like, I was seen.
Right.
Mhm.
And that feels okay.
Yeah, it feels good.
In the beginning, it may not. It may feel creepy. Like that man that held the door open, that might feel creepy, unsafe. Like, oh, that's totally normal.
Like awkward when you feel awkward like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what we're really feeling is like,
Is this
is-
safe?
is this safe?
Yeah, your gut is saying, is this safe?
Okay.
So a lot of that kind of, and the interesting thing, when we're in larger bodies, we often don't listen to our gut, our instinct, or soul, whatever we want to use for that word, because if we did, especially when we have chronic hunger, then we're being told you can't listen to your body.
Right.
So get out of your body.
Mm-hmm.
Get out of there. It's not safe to be in there. It's not good to be in there. And just stay out of it. Don't
Right.
listen to it. And so if we stay out of our body a lot, we're also then not listening to our instinct. Or or we're telling ourselves that our instinct is false.
Okay.
You think you're hungry, but you're not.
Mm-hmm.
So what else are you telling me that's a lie? What else are you doing or showing or whatever that is not true? And then it'll start to look for evidence. Oh, I'm not my partner yelled at me. My partner had a bad day, but then my brain is like, they're mad at me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been there.
So that's where I have had a lot of work within my therapy on is I don't trust myself.
Right.
Because, and this is the major key point is that I wanted to be with somebody that was nothing like my dad. He was an alcoholic. He was a drug addict. He beat my mom, like all these things. Right. I was like, no, I'm never going to be with a man that is like my dad. And then I married Cody. or Satan, however you want to call him. But then the experiences and the abuse that I incurred over our 15-year marriage or
10-year
relationship,
yeah,
it suggested that he was exactly like my father.
right. Just not the drug addict part.
Just not the drug addict part.
Right. And that would have been the more obvious.
Yeah.
So your brain was looking for obvious, and you probably had some coerce, like
Yeah.
some underlying stuff that you
Yeah.
were like, oh, well, he shows up for me here, so it clearly can't be this.
Mhm.
But that was making up for the fact for the
Yeah. And so now
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I can't trust my own decisions.
Right.
Even though like I make good decisions. Like, and I talk about with David all the time. Like I know that I make good decisions, but I don't trust myself to make those decisions.
Yeah, we were at dinner once and we had this conversation, and I
Mhm.
was like, Kelly, you know I have problems with trust.
Mhm.
I trust you. I wouldn't let you be like this close to me if I didn't trust you.
Yeah.
And I was like, you make good decisions.
Mhm.
I trust you. I was like, just if you could trust yourself as much as I trust you, then it'd be so much better.
So
Yeah. Winds back to in the beginning.
Well, it's interesting because one of the ways that we start to work on it is we ask people that we trust their opinions.
Yeah.
So in the beginning, I had a really hard time feeling I was lovable.
Okay.
And so I remember my husband be like, I love you, or you're beautiful, or you're amazing. And I remember I told him in the beginning, I said, how about I say, I believe that you feel that way.
Yeah.
Because that feels truthful. And he
Yeah.
was like, oh, okay, if that's right.
Yeah.
So I would repeat that. And he would say, and I would say, oh, I know, you're beautiful. I'm like, oh, I know you think that.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. And that's where we would start. And so that I had to get that feeling good first, and then
Okay.
I could drop that.
Okay.
But at first it was like, I can't really believe that you would believe that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you're saying it, so, and I trust you and I love you, so I'm going to agree with you on that, even if I don't feel that way.
Right.
So if you have someone in your corner, which I hope you all do, and this may be a therapist too.
Yeah.
To say, hey, you've known me for a while. Like in general, my decisions usually go pretty well.
Mm.
Sometimes they can help you pick out a pattern, but they're like, yeah, they do, except when you get depressed, sometimes you do some weird stuff. Or when you get really happy, sometimes you do some weird stuff, or whatever the case may be. And then you can say, oh, well, that's interesting. So you're kind of getting that, because we are blind. Let me tell you, therapists sometimes are the worst therapy clients. I can be a really bad therapy client because we're blind to our own stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah.
so my coping skill, I know you're going to be shocked to hear this, is to just talk so much that I don't have to be in my body.
Oh.
So I just keep talking. So in therapy, they love me. They probably say very little, and I just talk for 53 minutes. The 50 minutes, maybe they get 3. And then I don't have to click into my body at all.
Yep.
And it's great. And I just blab and I talk. And so it's just interesting because, again, like for me, being in my body doesn't feel very safe. I'd rather be out of my body, and this is also, if you have ADHD, you're probably pretty,
I was
Yeah.
gonna say you're describing a lot of
Your
Kelly,
brain.
because
Yeah. I just learned that.
when I'm with her, like we feel comfortable even silent. Not a problem. We don't
Yeah.
get awkward, nothing.
No.
But I noticed that she'll talk when the silence is there, because she's like, I don't like silence.
Right.
And I was like,
or your brain is going, so you just go with it.
Mhm.
So I was doing this hilarious ropes course. So I thought I was had a fear of heights.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't. But I've been okay, this is the other thing. You're going to tell yourself stuff, and then you start to believe it because you've always told yourself.
Yeah.
So like
Over and
I
over.
always told myself I don't do well in planes, so I can't go to Europe.
Were you ever on a plane yet?
Oh yeah, I flew since I was a child.
Oh.
But
so
I couldn't
then-
go on a long flight because long
Oh.
flights, those are bad.
Okay.
And so I couldn't go to Europe. And then I went to Europe and I was like, this is better than freaking flying to Portland, because they didn't even feed us. Alaska Air, a 6-hour flight. You should have fed us twice.
That's
So
true.
when you go,
True.
that's so weird. So when you go to Europe,
They
You
didn't
get
even
on
give you
it.
snacks.
one.
One time.
But I had breakfast and lunchtime. They should have fed us like twice. Like, hello, Alaska.
Especially
Air.
as bariatric patients.
I know. No, believe me, I had a gallon of water with me and a lot of snacks.
Good.
So
Good,
okay,
good,
let me
good.
Let me make sure I circle back. My ADHD. Okay, so ropes course. Always
Yes.
told myself couldn't do this. This is I don't like heights. I've also convinced my husband of this because he was like, are you sure you're gonna do this? And I'm like, yeah. And so, gosh, what was I gonna tell you guys about this? About the ropes course.
Well, you're not afraid of heights, though.
I'm not. So I did it anyways. Oh, the things we tell ourselves. So I wholeheartedly believed that I couldn't do this ropes course,
right.
but I was like, okay, no, I was going to tell you this next thing too. So we all get up there, and it's all therapists. So this is a very interesting ropes course. And I am definitely one of maybe a couple that are neurodiverse ADHD.
Yeah.
And so I'm going across, this one that's a black, because I was like, yeah, let's just do it. And I'm singing to myself. I'm like, this is so hard, but I'm doing it anyway.
Oh, that sounds like me.
I'm brave. I'm brave. I'm brave. And then I had to tell myself, like, slow, meticulous, slow, meticulous.
Are you walking on like a tightrope?
So what it was this is the craziest ropes course. Okay, so first there's a thing that goes zigzaggy.
It's at Salishan, right?
Yeah. It's zigzaggy, and then there's single
At the beach.
ones. So you have to kind of jump.
Oh, we did that. Okay.
Yeah.
You did that?
We remember when we is this what we're talking about? Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, you're good.
You. When we were in San Diego with the guys, like Dalton and Rob, when we jumped on that rope thing.
Okay. Yes and no.
Okay.
This is like in the air.
Correct. This is up 70 feet.
Okay.
But you're harnessed in.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, you're harnessed in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just like,
Got it.
I was
Now
like,
I
no,
know.
we
So
have
it's
not
like
done
more
that.
road rules challenge.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, bringing it back to our inner 90s.
Mel still watches it, so it's fine.
Is it still on?
It's called the challenge now. Because they don't have a road rules anymore. So
They only had 3 seasons of Road Rules?
no, it's like 10.
Really?
Oh, yeah, a lot more than that.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
That went on and on. Thank God.
It did. So did Real World, but I think all those are gone now. It's just a challenge.
Yeah, and they
It's
just
amazing
pull
MTV even
from
exists
all
anymore.
reality TV.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
it's not just like MTV's realities
Oh,
because
okay, I
they don't
think I
really
have.
have realities anymore.
And that's like the show that's like the island where they're on the island, but they also have the suitcases of money. You guys watch that?
I think that's Survivor.
But it's Survivor meets the cash game. What was the game with the suitcase? Let's make a deal.
Let's
Let's make a deal on
That's
an island.
new. I've never heard that.
Yes.
Oh. I like me
Reality
some
show.
random reality shit.
She does.
That's my
She
guilty
really
pleasure.
does.
So all of that is to tell you, it's totally cool if you sing and do no.
Well, I
But
think
you're
that
talking to yourself to
Yeah.
go through it. I think that's I do that internally in my head.
you don't.
So when people
outwardly
start
say it.
talking to me when I'm doing this, I've done it to Eric before. I'm like, stop talking to me. And he's like, and I was like, just stop. And he's like, okay. And then I'll finish what I'm doing because I'm trying to talk myself down or through something.
Yeah.
I can't talk during it. I can only talk to me.
Well, and I tell Mel all the time, like I'll be ready to have a conversation on my half of the studio.
Yeah.
And she's over doing something else. And I'll start to say it. And then I'm like, let me know when you're ready to have you're open to conversating.
Yeah.
Because I know that I'm open to conversating about anything at any time.
At any time.
With
Because
anybody.
Our brain is always chatting.
Yeah.
Always. About all sorts of things.
Yeah.
I would love to be in someone else's brain. It would be so interesting to me because I can't imagine being in a silent brain.
Mm-hmm.
At all.
Well, we did learn only 50% of people can talk to themselves.
Yeah.
We learned that
Like
when we were
the
at
internal
Connie's.
dialogue.
The internal dialogue. Only about 50% of people do it.
We'll double check on that number.
Yeah.
But
I would believe that because do you know some people can't imagine things? There are some people that if I said, think of an apple, they can't think of an apple. They can only think of a 2D apple. They can only think of an apple that doesn't move. And then there's people like me who can make a 3D and do
I
and
can do that,
move it
yeah.
all around
Mhm.
and with my eyes open.
I was already doing that when you said it.
When you
Yes,
said apple,
I know.
envisioned
And I'm
it,
like
and I
moving
envisioned the
it,
whole
it's
apple.
in
Yeah, and I
space.
can
It was green,
envision
so-
the coloring on it.
Yes,
and then,
100%.
like
and I'm
the
moving it around.
stem.
Yeah.
The stem.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so ADHD people tend to be highly visual as well, because what you're doing is you're super multitasking.
Yeah. You're
And
seeing it
so
all.
it's interesting because when you have a brain like ours,
a spicy brain.
a spicy brain, guided meditation sometimes is more helpful than regular meditation because it's giving your brain a place to think of and
Start.
go and visualize.
Yeah.
And to help kind of silence some of the chatter.
Yeah.
So tell me if this is weird or not.
Oh, I love these questions. Yes.
I don't know what she's gonna say, so I love
No,
it
she
too.
has no idea. Okay, so when we were in the sound bath,
Yes. Which
I always
love.
forget this part. Okay, so when we were at JBY, we did a sound bath.
Yes.
And I loved it. I fell asleep.
Oh my God, it
actually.
was so
Remember, I
great.
was the
It was
last one
so
to wake
great.
up. It
Yeah.
was kind of funny. But what I noticed was when I was laying there, I couldn't get myself to like stop the reel. Well, even while she was talking.
Mhm.
The only way, and I do this sometimes in movies, TV shows, is I start
Kelly
repeating.
talking.
Yeah. Or I will literally just listen to you and re-say it in my head.
You're processing it, yeah.
Okay.
So no.
That's not weird. That's normal.
No.
Because I
totally
would just
normal.
like, if she was saying like, look at a cloud in my head, I'm like,
Right. Because in your brain, you might also need to hear your own voice. And that may be because you don't like, okay, we're going to get like
oh, you're gonna tell me I
subconscious.
don't trust other people.
You may
'Cause
not
I
trust
don't.
other people.
I
Yeah.
don't at
so,
all.
so
That's it.
subconsciously, if someone else tells you to look at a cloud, and you're like, I don't know if that's safe. If you tell yourself to look at a cloud, and then you look at the cloud, and your body's like, oh, okay, that's safe. Yeah. No, what she's saying makes sense, and it feels safe to me, and I think I'm good.
Oh my God.
Also,
I've been doing this since childhood.
which is good. That's how you process.
Duh.
The other thing I want to remind people, if you're not good with closing your eyes and stuff, that's normal and trauma-y.
What do you mean?
If you've experienced trauma and someone tells you to close your eyes and do something,
Oh,
like, let
Yeah,
me
I don't
tell
like
you,
that
if
one
you get your
either.
lashes done,
It's hard.
this is
for
a
me.
really it's hard for me too. I was talking to this one lash lady and she was saying something and I was like, do they train you guys for trauma informed? And she was like, we're lash ladies, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
I'm like, you smush people's noses with your hand.
Or boobs.
Have you never realized that you're doing what people do if they're being abused?
Yeah. Or it's being silent.
Right.
Silenced.
Or being
Yeah.
silenced. And she was like, oh my God, I never thought of that. And I was like, okay, well, I'm a therapist. That's probably why I thought about it.
Yeah.
I hate when people fucking smush my nose. Don't smush my nose. Don't smush my nose.
I have a thing of like, don't touch my face.
Mhm.
Don't.
And
Yeah.
if your eyes are closed because you're getting your lashes done, you're now smushing your face while getting your eyes closed. Like your eyes are closed and
Yeah,
you're
you
getting
can't open
smushed.
them.
Right, you can't open them. So for those who don't get their lashes done, but it's really interesting because people are always like, well, I should be able to do this. And I was like, your body's keeping you safe by telling you that is not safe. It is
Yeah.
not safe for you to lie in the dark and shut your eyes in a yoga studio.
Mhm.
Why would your body think that's safe? Well, it's a yoga studio. And
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, but you're with a bunch of strangers. And
Yep.
they're like, oh. So it's like, it's okay. Okay, like the therapy thing again. If you need to do something where someone asks you to close your eyes, other than lashes, because you can't do that with your eyes open,
Mhm.
you can find a point on the floor and just soften your gaze. So if a yoga person is trauma informed, they will often say something to the effect of, you can close your eyes or soften your gaze. And that is letting you know that that person has probably been trained in some level of trauma informed care.
That's
I have a
cool. I like
huge
that.
problem with prayer. So when people
Let's talk about it.
like,
I'm interested.
so typically when people
Worthiness.
pray,
Oh, yeah.
they close their eyes and tilt their head down.
Correct.
I don't like it. I
Me
don't feel like that's good.
Mhm.
And so you will never find my eyes closed when people pray.
Right, you just look down.
I will look
That's
down
Same.
Yeah.
I look down. I don't
because
close
I,
my eyes.
I don't close my eyes.
don't know.
What they're gonna do.
Yeah.
And if your head's tilted down, you can't see. So your body is really good at keeping you safe.
Mhm.
So it said, hell no. Leave your eyes open. Watch around you. Everyone else has their eyes closed. That means if something bad happened, I wouldn't even know. Like that's your body keeping you safe. So it is always okay in those situations. You just have a gaze. And also if you're ADHD, closing your eyes for me makes it a lot worse. Because now I'm seeing and thinking and all some other stuff. But when I look at stuff, my brain has to be like, oh, over there, it's purple. Oh, it's
Yeah.
purple. If I close my eyes, my brain could come up with 80 billion things that it wanted to. At least when my eyes are open, I'm like, oh, it's purple over there.
Yeah.
Oh,
gives your
that's how
brain,
it's
like,
okay.
place to go.
Because guys, I'm not ADHD, but the two ladies next to me are. So
Yeah.
I learned a lot because it is interesting to work with someone that has ADHD. Like
100%.
you have to adjust and do these things to make sure that they can perform and feel comfortable.
Yeah.
But it is interesting, all my ADHD people out there who feel like it sucks to have ADHD. There's some amazing superpowers with ADHD. being a business owner with ADHD rocks sometimes.
Yeah.
Because I can get so much stuff done. I can be creative. I can think of things. I can get time blindness and just work. Downside of that is I can get time blindness to work. I can come up with 80 billion ideas and I want to do all of them at the same time because I don't know about you, but sometimes I have hard time with priority.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
she does.
I
Yes.
want to do it all right now.
She
Yeah.
doesn't know which one to start with.
It's like when you decide, like, okay, I'm going to go left. And so you go left, but then you're like, but wait, right's there too. What if I go forward? Okay, maybe. And you're like doing this as you're standing.
Is that why
That's how it
is?
is.
That?
Yeah, I do that all the
I
time.
know. I've seen it.
Yeah, I'm like,
Or I'll I'm starting to empty the
That is
dishwasher,
Yep.
and the towels are done. I'm gonna fold them. Oh, I need to take something out of the sink. Oh, there's something in the bathroom. The fun thing is, you just have to tell yourself at the end, it's all gonna get done.
yeah.
The order does not matter.
Mhm.
The amount of starts and stops that you have does not matter. It will
Yeah.
all get done.
Yeah.
So in my analytical brain, I do kind of the same thing though. Like I'll be doing the dishes and be like, oh shit, I gotta get the thing in the kitchen, in the living room. I gotta go downstairs. But what happens in my head though is I'm like, this is such a fat person thing. This is like old fat Mel of like less steps. So what is the fastest?
Survivor.
Is
It's
it- that's
going
what it
to
is?
exhaust me and I have to get it all done.
Yeah.
What is the way that I can, so this is a reframe for your brain. What is the way that I can conserve enough energy
Yep.
to be able to do it all, because it exhausts me to try to do it all. So
Yeah,
that's
makes
survivorship.
sense.
Yeah.
So that's
it's
a
not
survivor in me.
laziness, people out there. It's not laziness.
Yeah, because I'm just like trying to make sure I get everything done,
Right.
in a certain time and not be exhausted.
Right.
So
Because that's survivorship.
so I have survivorship, and then you have the ADHD.
All of the things.
Because
I have all of the
but
things.
you also have to, the problem when you have too much energy, and I remind people too that ADHD is not always physical. My brain is the hyperactive thing, not me.
Yeah.
the
Your
brain.
body itself. Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
cannot rest until I have worn myself out. Now, some people, like my husband, he can rest by resting.
Yep,
Like he
same.
lays on the couch and he gets rested.
Yep.
If I sit on the couch, I'm like, oh my God, I need to do something. I need to get this in. I need to work. I need to something. I cannot sit on the couch. Drives me nuts. So it is okay if the way that you rest is by exhausting yourself. We just have to make sure we're doing it in a healthy,
I was gonna say, is it?
productive
Because Kelly does
way.
that all the time.
right.
Yeah.
But if you don't, then sometimes that restlessness equals no sleep. Because
Oh.
your brain can't work out the physical feeling of needing to be ran down. And then you're laying there and your body's like, we have some energy we need to dispel. Let's think about stuff, because that's the only option we have.
Yep, that happened at 3:00 in the morning.
It happens to you all the time.
I wrote a
man.
blog at 3:00 in the morning because I couldn't get it out of my brain.
That's what I told her to do, was just get it out.
Yes,
Because
yes.
Yeah, but I wrote a
Either-
blog.
that's fine.
writing,
See?
or if you're me and you hate writing, you like to talk, voice memos on your phone.
I have
Voice memo on the
memos.
phone.
Mhm.
Hey, sometimes I do, this is very therapist-y. Child Ashlynn, I have a message for you. I know that it's something, let's say something triggers me. I know this is triggering you and I know where it comes from. I'm adult Ashlynn. I got this. So child Ashlynn, you're good. You're calm. You may have a different name for your child when you were a child. I got this. We're good. Don't get triggered here because it's not helping you. Like, I got this. I'm adult Ashlynn. Now sometimes we have to remind our child selves that we're adults.
Oh, I like that.
Oh, let's circle back to like what we do with failure stuff.
Yes. Okay.
Sorry.
So no, we
We're
went.
good. We
We
learned a
went
lot.
We
Right.
did this. We
Okay.
learned a lot. Okay.
So-
So in the bariatric community, we hear the term failure all the time.
I see it in posts almost every day.
Yeah.
At least one.
Yes. And that's sad. That's sad that we view ourselves as a failure if we don't get all of our
Or
protein.
they'll ask
or-
us. We've seen in our DMs.
Yeah.
Like, I did this. Does that mean I failed? Am I
Yeah.
a failure? We're like,
Yeah.
Never
no.
over people.
Yeah.
That's what we have to
Failure
Yeah.
is only if it ends.
Yeah.
Failure is only death.
So failure's only death.
Well, because that's the only thing that ends. Like, we cannot be, us as human beings cannot be failures because it's never ending.
Well, I feel like you're only
death
a
is-
failure if you stop trying.
Well, here's the thing. You can always do it again. It's
Yeah,
forever. It's
true.
forever. It's forever. So if there's one thing I want you all to take home today, is that you're not a failure. You're learning.
Yeah.
You're learning. So we cannot anticipate every single solitary event that we could ever be in or situation. So therefore, I cannot anticipate how I would behave or what would happen in those situations. So we have to use situations that don't go well as learning. So we have to reflect, okay, what didn't go well there? So let's use an example of you went into a social event, you got way too drunk, and you made a fool of yourself. So you're like, I'm a failure.
Oh, you have?
I did.
Oh, I held your hair on that one.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it was not good.
So-
I don't know why. I really don't know.
So we're going to figure this out.
Okay.
So instead of us saying, I'm an embarrassment, I'm a horrible person, I can't be trusted around alcohol, I can't be trusted around other people, we have to reflect back and say, what about that situation might have impacted my decisions? Because remember, we don't make no behavior has no reason. So if I showed up to the party and I was
You
like,
say that again.
No behavior.
no behavior has no, what did I say?
No behavior has no reason.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We do everything. Our bodies
Everything
just don't
has
do
a
random
reason.
stuff.
I wanted to just wanted you to say it again for people to hear that, because I think that's a really pivotal phrase.
Yes.
Yes.
Because that's how we figure it. We like backtrack with this. So it's like, okay, let's actually think. So as a therapist, I come in, they're like, oh my God, this situation. I'm like, let's talk about it. What were your original thoughts about this event? They're like, what? Well, I thought it'd be fun. I was like, okay, do you have any anxiety about it? And they're like, well, yeah, because I really want this one girl to like me, because if she likes me, then she'll invite me to more things. Oh no, she's really not going to invite me to more things because I was a drunk fool. I'm like, okay, so you felt like some pressure to perform or behave in a certain way or show up in a certain way. Maybe you had a little social anxiety. So like more therapy, we call that social anxiety, but really it's like, I was afraid I wouldn't be liked or people wouldn't understand me. So then you got, before you got there, did you eat anything?
No.
Well, no, I don't want to look bloated. I needed to look real thin. This is a bariatric thing, and they needed to know as a successful bariatric, and I needed to look real thin, so I didn't eat anything. And I'm like, oh, okay. And when you got there, was there food? Oh, yeah, there's food. I didn't touch it. I didn't want anyone to think I'm that bad bariatric patient that eats food. And I was like, I'll write that down. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. Bad bariatric patients eat food. Okay, so I'm like, okay, great. Okay, so we went into an environment that we felt really nervous about, and we set ourselves up with no food. I'm like, okay, cool. And what happened when you got there? They were all in a big group. And I was
intimidating.
like, very intimidating. And I thought one of them maybe said something about me. And I was like, ooh, okay. What do you think they said about you? I think she said, what does that girl, this actually happened to me. Whose husband is that girl trying to fuck?
Oh
no! What did she say? She said something to that effect. It was the first meetup I ever went in as for a bariatric.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh my God!
And let me tell you, I had some courage, and I went up to her and I said, "I'm married, so nobody's. Thank you, honey. My name is Ashlynn." And then her and I are not friends. But
okay,
it's funny.
well,
okay, so
you're
let's
not
say
meant to be friends with everybody,
right?
So.
No, well, I have to be the best fat person that ever
right.
lived.
Everyone must love me.
Let's roll back to the beginning.
Right. You have to love me, even though you were mean to me. Which again, that jealousy and all that good stuff. Okay, so I'm like, okay. So she's like, there's a big group, and I thought someone said something mean about what I wore, and maybe I was too confident because I was wearing something that I thought maybe looked really good on me, and I was like, oh, good. So you were feeling no, I wasn't feeling confident. I thought maybe I looked confident though. I was like, oh, okay, great.
That is a difference.
False confidence.
Right. So then she said something. So then I knew it was true. I shouldn't have worn this. People could see the rolls. People could see I wasn't as thin as I wanted. And I was like, okay, great. Okay, good. I said, and then what happened? Well, I went over to the group and no one wanted to talk to me. I'm like, oh, you felt rejected. They're like, she's like, oh no, yeah, I probably felt. I'm like, okay. And then what beliefs did you create about yourself? They're like, what? I wasn't thinking about. I'm like, yeah. This is going to go poorly.
Mm-hmm.
No one is going to like me.
Yep.
I'm not going to fit in, and I'm going to feel rejected. And the worst of all, I'm going to feel abandoned.
Mm-hmm.
Usually that's the soul of many of us.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to feel abandoned, and that would suck. And what do our brains do? They survive.
Yep.
So you saw someone going over to the bar, and you said, oh, I'll go over with her, and I'll get a drink.
Yep.
And she's like, yeah, I went and got a drink. And then, and I'm like, yeah, and you hadn't eaten anything. So how'd that go? Oh, I felt really good, really fast.
Yep.
And I was like, yeah,
I'm sure you do.
I'm sure you did. And then what happened? Well, then I said something funny and everyone laughed. And they loved me.
So I got
And
another
they brought-
drink.
Right. And they brought me in. And then we had shots. And I couldn't say no to shots.
Yep.
And so we had more shots. And then I had too much to drink. And then I danced on a table and my skirt came up to it. And every once in a while, whatever. So it's like a bad thing happened. And I said, okay, great. Let's talk about it. Number one, when you look back at the situation, what do you think you would have done differently? So this is reflection. So the first thing we want to do is we want to do a little bit of reflection. Well, I probably shouldn't have drank so much. Okay, cool.
Mhm.
Anything else? Maybe surrounding the drinking? Oh, no, I'm not sure. I'm like, okay, so usually then, you know, your therapist is going to help you a little bit here. If you ate before you came,
I was going to say, if you eat.
Yeah.
you might be able to deal with alcohol better and then make slow down. We're going to slow this down, right? And I'm like, okay, so first we look at something like environmental easy stuff. Was I hungry, lonely, tired, angry? Hunger comes up a lot.
Yeah.
And it's hard sometimes in bariatrics because we don't always know when we're hungry.
Correct.
We haven't eaten in a while, and so now I'm like in a place where I'm gonna make decisions that I wouldn't have if I wasn't hungry. And lonely is a big one for a lot of us.
Yeah.
And
that's a big one for
so
me.
going into social situations, I need to make sure that I am the most gentlest with myself. If I hear someone say something, I cannot assume it is about me. I am in a room with people.
Yeah.
They may be saying that about something they're watching on their phone. But because my brain is pointing towards, they're not going to like me, I'm not going to be able to be part of the group,
Yeah.
then I'm going to look for any evidence. So everyone standing in a group is because they don't want me in it. Where in the reality of it is we get in big groups and we get in groups.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do.
Big groups, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And no one else at that moment had social anxiety and was standing off to the sides looking scared.
Right.
So your interpretation is everyone else has this and I don't.
Yeah.
So, okay, another brings, I don't like the word trigger, so I usually use bring something up inside me.
Okay.
Trigger to me makes me feel like I'm out of control, like something triggers me without me asking or that kind of thing. So I always use bring something up. So something brings something up inside of you. So, and then it's like, oh, well, one of the ways that I can be part of the group is that I can do what the group is doing. That's normal. We get taught that as children.
Yeah.
And because everyone's a little nervous, then it started with alcohol. And maybe prior to having bariatric surgery, you could drink and it wasn't, you could have a couple drinks and it was okay.
Oh, yeah, not anymore.
Post bariatric surgery, we can't do that.
No.
And we got to eat. We got to have something in our stomach.
Yep.
And so what we start to do is we start to pull that apart, that you didn't fail that situation. You didn't anticipate everything that was going to happen.
Right.
And you hadn't been in that situation enough to know how your personal body would react.
Well, and my brain says that this person just didn't set themselves up for success.
Yeah.
Like they needed to do a few things before they even got there.
And so instead of viewing it as a failure, it's now a learning experience.
Yep.
So next time I have a social event, I'm going to eat before I go.
Yep.
I'm going to not assume everyone is talking about me. I'm going to wear what is comfortable and not what I believe others think I should wear.
That one is hard
It
to
is
do
really hard.
sometimes.
It is.
I learned that maybe year 2 into the podcast.
Yeah,
Maybe,
that's inner childhood stuff. Like,
Yeah.
because when we were heavier, we weren't allowed to have certain clothes. We really, really, really want certain clothes. And we want to be able to wear certain clothes. But unfortunately, what we really want is we want to feel a certain way in those clothes.
Yeah.
Which we will not most of the time.
Because they're not our body type. Like most of the time we're going for something that's not even our body type. And you'll love this one, Ashlynn. Like I was literally told they don't make clothes for you.
Yeah, and you know, if you're a certain age, which I think all of us
It
are,
was in middle school.
We were the age, we're all about the same age,
Yeah.
Yeah, we're 37.
Oh yeah, we're like dead set, same age.
Perfect.
So when we were in high school, we had 2 options for clothing. Lane Bryant.
Yep.
And Torrid, if you could afford it. Ashley Stewart, certain places, which was way too curvy for me. And occasionally you had Dress Barn.
My mom worked at a dress bar.
Why did they
I never understood it.
I actually did it. I
Okay.
said that to them. I'm like, why would you call this place a barn?
Right, we are not animals.
It's
We're
a
not
store.
cows.
Yeah.
So we and it was the 90s, so that was Delia's, Girlfriends LA, Aloy, and stick skinny was what the look
Yes.
Yeah.
Stick.
It was straight up and down.
was. Stick. No boobs, no butt, stick,
What is that lady's name? The famous model that's like,
Twiggy.
thank you.
Yes.
Yep.
That's what people were trying to achieve when
Yeah.
they were children.
Yep.
And so I think that we would see things that we really wanted to be able to wear or feel good in or feel a certain confidence. But we don't always feel that. So we have to dress for the body that we got and really the one that we feel comfortable with. And I always look to, like, I'm so glad that we have much better fabric now.
Yes.
Do you remember some of the terrible fabric we had?
I mean, I was in stirrup pants till 7th grade. Yep. Because that's my mom believed that she couldn't find pants for me.
Yep.
Even though I was actually a size 16 once we found pants for me at Shopco.
Yep.
And I was like, Mom, what do you mean? I literally remember this in Shopco being like, they're all right there. What do you mean I'm too big for these? And she's like, oh, there are some here. And I know what it is. It was money.
Yeah.
It costs more to put me in jeans than it did stirrup pants. And she didn't want me to know. So that was the problem. I
had one friend whose mother made custom clothes for her because she needed a larger size. Okay. And she also got Girlfriends LA. Do you guys remember Girlfriends LA? They had the catalog.
Yep.
They had a catalog.
It was like Delia's.
Yeah. Except it would go all the way up, I think, a size 30.
Nice. Really?
Or maybe not 30. Maybe it definitely had plus. I don't remember though.
Yeah, and that was rare.
And I had a friend who
It's
had
still fucking
hot
rare.
pink leather pants
Ooh.
from Girlfriends LA.
Oh,
And I remember
that.
her mother made such an effort for her to have clothes. And it's interesting. If you look at my closet right now, you're going to see some inner childhood stuff right there. I have a ton of clothes.
Yeah.
I have more clothes
Check.
than any human will ever need ever because I now have choice.
Yep.
And I never had control or choice, particularly around clothing, because it was what fits,
Mhm.
not what you want, what you like, or what looks good on you.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. I remember I used to have 2 pairs of pants and 5 shirts and 1 hoodie. That's what I had all through high school and probably
Until you got a job.
Till even then, I barely bought myself clothes though. I was like, yeah, I can rotate them.
Yeah.
Like I've always been that way. And now I have 2 closets full.
No, I have a huge closet full of clothes.
Yeah.
And thank God for fast fashion. I know we're not supposed to say that, but it's so nice to have that much choice.
Fast fashion. That's not
That's
okay.
like Shein.
Oh, yeah.
We're destroying the planet. I know.
I'm
sorry.
wearing Shein right now.
Oh, I know. I think
I am not for once
Smart.
wearing any Shein.
It's my jeans and my shirt are.
But it's choice.
I just got a deliver today from Shein.
I was just thinking that when we sat down. We sat down. You told me that.
So we're learning from our experiences, our
Inner child.
quote unquote failures.
Right, which are not. They're
And
experiences.
so if somebody, I want to pinpoint Mel here. So she viewed her regain as a failure.
100%.
So how do you?
Yes, this is an important one because
How do we
this is
combat that?
Yeah.
multifaceted.
I still feel like a failure.
You're not.
Part of the thing with bariatric surgery is that we don't always pinpoint medically exactly what we needed.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is really where that medication side. So sometimes, particularly with sleeve, we don't impact the pancreas and insulin resistance enough long term.
Okay.
It does in the beginning and then it switches over so that insulin resistance returns for some reason.
And when this comes out, I'll be 9 years out from surgery,
Yeah.
which I
So
did
crazy.
learn that also plays a factor.
Oh,
in
1,000%.
regain.
1,000%.
Because my metabolism is completely different.
Yeah.
Totally. And so I think that it's one of the things that we have to figure out is like, number one, medical. Like, are we medically intervening? Has insulin resistance returned? Has your hunger returned? Is there something medically going on? For some people, sometimes their thyroid. Is there some other medical thing that we're trying to or possibly ignoring because we believe we're a failure? So we're not even going to go back to the doctor to say like, hey, is something going on?
Right.
I think particularly with the pandemic.
I know you're looking at me. I did have my thyroid checked.
Okay.
Because my mom has thyroid issues.
And it's hard. Sometimes your thyroid's fine and it'll just be this like little period. Because I had like a little period where mine wasn't working, particularly with bariatric surgery, something to do with one of the vitamins.
Well, if you need vitamins, go to procarenow.com. Use code OSLP. We're the only ones that get you 15% off.
Woo-hoo.
And we love them.
Yes, we do.
Keep the bottle up there.
Oh, I'm blocking it.
No, you were.
No, you're not.
It was
You're
sitting
right
on
in
your
the
head.
Oh,
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's introverted, guys. It's
Go
hard.
to ProCare.
opposite.
It's the best one
That's
out
right.
there. And
Yeah.
it'll keep your levels perfect. Anyways,
Yes.
go ahead.
So So number one, we got to figure out, is there something working against you that's medical?
Mhm.
And we need to actually like work on the medical side of it, because again, obesity is not a willpower issue.
Mhm.
And two, we need to look at like environmental stressors. The pandemic fucked with all of us,
It did.
myself included.
It did.
We could have never ever planned for the pandemic.
No.
We could have never figured out how to deal with the pandemic. We could have never known the situations we would be put
Not as
in.
civilians, we had no idea.
Yeah.
How to function. I say it that way because if
Aliens do?
no, I
Oh,
say
okay.
no, civilians. Okay, the reason why I say it in civilians is because the higher up in governments could have actually, like, they knew that this could happen eventually,
Oh.
and they didn't have any of the streamlines in place. Like the whole supply system was
Okay.
completely off because they didn't take into account that this could happen, even though several doctors have told them that this could happen.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. No.
Sorry.
Sorry. I was sitting there. I'm like, are we talking about aliens?
I mean,
Civilians.
aliens would have better dealt with this better than
Go
we
to the
would.
moon. Probably because
Yeah.
humans were complicated.
Yes.
So we have
Aliens
to
are
give
simple.
ourselves some grace
Freaky
surrounding
stuff,
like all of a sudden we had to go home and we couldn't do anything but eat and get takeout. Baby.
Yeah.
Watch
we couldn't
TV.
watch TV.
Mhm.
We couldn't go to the gym. We couldn't. At one point, we were kind of afraid to go outside. Remember that?
Well, they
part?
told us we couldn't for a while.
Right,
They were
like,
don't
stay
go
in your
anywhere.
house.
I still went.
Yeah,
I
Kelly
yeah.
was like the worst COVID person.
And I have like the highest.
Inner child.
Well, you have the
inner
lowest
child can't
immune
be
system.
solved.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
You have the
Lowest
lowest
immune system.
with the highest risk that you're like, let's just go. And I'm
Yeah.
like,
That's your
Nope.
inner child saying "fuck the police."
I mean, I went to Disney World like
can't tell me what
during
to
the
do.
pandemic.
yeah.
It was pretty
Universal
hefty.
and Disneyland or Disney World. I went during the pandemic.
She did.
You know what else was cool during the pandemic?
Hmm.
All the luxury hotels in Orlando, like the Four Seasons.
Yeah.
This is my ADHD brain, by the way.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
They had Groupons.
Oh, that's a first.
And we got to go to every spa in town during the pandemic
Oh.
because nobody was there.
Yep.
It was amazing.
That's
Okay, inner
funny.
child needed a massage. So again, like part of that is like historically, if you've always been told what to do and you've always had to be controlled and you always have to be perfect, you're like, you are not going to take, again, survivorship. You are not going to take that away from me. If I have to go outside, I'm going to go outside.
Oh my God, that sounds like Kelly.
Right. Because I'm going to survive.
Mm-hmm.
Because historically, I'm going to guess, because what you just told me about your dad, authority figures lie.
Yeah.
So why would you trust regular authority figures if the one that's supposed to be the most trustful fucked you over?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. That pretty
So-
much covers it.
So
yeah.
my child had needed to know, like, I can take care of myself.
Yeah.
And I will assume risk. If I have a low immune system, I will take care of it because I take care of myself anyways. I'm an independent bitch and like get out of my way.
And I don't like people telling me that
She
I can't.
hates telling
Yes.
anybody telling her.
So if you want you to do something, then we should tell you the opposite.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, me too, actually.
Yep.
So, okay, we're going to circle back.
So we're back to regain and failure.
Right. Okay.
How do we get
So-
past that?
How do we
So we have to, again, that like what didn't go well. Me being home with 100% access to anything and everything that I could ever eat might not have been the best situation for me. I really struggled during the pandemic. I will put this out there.
Yeah.
I stopped meal prepping because why would I meal
Why
prep?
would
I'm
you?
not
There
going
it
out of
is.
the house, right? So I had to bring that back because I had to sit down and kind of reflect. So my insulin resistance came back and I went to the doctor. I got on medication, but I was sitting there. I'm like, okay, step one, medical check, like got that taken care of. Now, step two, like, what did I stop doing that was really helping me?
Mhm.
I was no longer going to Pilates. So I am so broke that like Pilates is the only thing I could do because you don't have to wear shoes and you can have like a blown out shoulder. Pilates is great, by the way.
I love
Hypermobile
Pilates.
neck. Like we can accommodate everything. That's, the lady told me that the first day. We can accommodate anything. And I was like, I don't know if you can accommodate me. She was like, we can accommodate anyone. Anyway.
And
So-
she did.
And yeah, so I stopped going to Pilates. I stopped meal prepping
Mhm.
and I just started working 24 hours a day.
Oh, that
Because-
sounds like you.
Guess what? In the pandemic, everyone needed a therapist.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everyone needed a therapist.
The
And-
world finally realized
Right.
mental health is real.
And,
Yeah.
and I couldn't say no to them because like I fully understood. I remember so distinctly that first week, like laying in the bathtub thinking, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? I don't know what to tell these people.
Yeah.
I don't know what we're going to do. And so just feeling in a very like I don't know what we're doing and people are coming to me to tell them what to do. And I have no idea because there's absolutely nothing that could have prepared us for that. So in general, so we have to go back and say, okay, what were, if any, habits that were helping me? How could I bring them back and bring them back in a sustainable way?
Yeah, like I stopped. So I know exactly
So
what I ate more and I stopped moving as much.
Yeah.
That's exactly
And
what I
so, and it's not to say that like the 2 a day, like don't go back and do that.
did.
Totally
No.
unsustainable.
Yeah.
So we have to figure out what is something I could do every day.
Right.
Every day I can make a commitment to move my body.
Mhm.
By the way, exercise, all movement counts. It drives me nuts. People are like, doesn't count. I didn't go to the gym. Doesn't matter.
It counts.
Right. Everything
I've
counts.
been going
movement.
on walks is what I've been incorporating now.
I feel like even cleaning your house is movement.
Actually,
Yes.
Dr. Patterson did tell me that. She goes, if you can't make it to the gym, then guess what? Just take a project in your house and do it because you're bending, lifting, stretching, like you're moving so much.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I love that idea. Because I actually enjoy cleaning and just not the bathroom.
Yep.
I fucking hate the bathroom, but I can clean your kitchen like nobody's business.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that might be also visualization of completion.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, for a lot of people, we need things that we, at the end, we look and we say, look what I
Yep.
did.
Yep.
It's
Look what
so
I did.
interesting because as a kid, when I cleaned my room, like clean my room, you know, like not as a kid, but like, you know, early teenage years. If I didn't complete all of it, so say like I cleaned my whole room, but there was still a blanket that needed to be folded, or there was clothes that needed to be like put in the drawer or something, it wasn't done.
Nope.
And I didn't get the same satisfaction than if I just finished those things to complete it.
It's not over till it's done. That's how I
What
always
kind of
put it.
feedback did you get about that? Like, did anyone ever come in your room and say, yes, this looks clean? No, this doesn't look clean. Did anyone ever acknowledge like anywhere in the process, or that was 100% internal
That was internal.
because no one was actually giving you validation?
I mean, she's one of 4 girls, so there's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of 5 kids, girl.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
I'm the middle.
I
No
got
wonder
I'm
why
in the
you
middle.
guys are a lot alike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Middles
'Cause
suck.
When you say that, I was like, oh, I've definitely told Dylan, like, hey, you're not done yet. Like, you have clothes here, you got a little bit of trash
Which-
here.
That's
all that.
okay, because then he can look at it and say, this is what I need to do, and these are the things I need to get done. When you get no external feedback, you're on a feedback loop with yourself.
And you're just wanting the
right. And so you're
validation.
hoping someone will come in and be like, oh my God, look at all the time and energy you spent cleaning this room. It looks great.
Mhm.
Oftentimes what happens is someone comes in and says, your room looks like a pigsty.
Yeah.
And you just spent 2 hours cleaning it. Right. So it's really
Yeah.
validating.
Yeah, because I would say, like, when you were talking about that, like, literally, I would be that kid that's all excited how clean it is and would make you come look at it.
Right.
I'd be like, oh, look at it. Look how
Right.
clean it is.
Because I need you to confirm that what I did was correct.
Yeah, I still do it. Even with the pool, I'd be like, when I get that pool clean, I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
guys, come look at it. It's so clean.
Yeah.
Yes.
Even to random people that come over. And
Yeah.
they're like, what is happening? Like, I'm just so proud.
Right. But it's good. And probably growing up, someone helped you model that. Like you should get excited when you get things done.
I would say yeah.
I was trying to think, is it dad? Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
dad.
they did. Dad would.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Or even having importance about grades or having importance about something. Because if you come home and you're like, I am so proud, and you show your parents, and the feedback is, you could have got an A,
Right.
you could have done better. It builds something up internally with you that it's never enough.
See, that was the thing. Like, I was great at school, almost straight A's, and it was because they were so excited.
Right.
That's how I got my attention.
Right.
Yeah,
And
because
that's
Matt got his
validation.
attention from doing bad things, and I got attention by doing good
I was
things.
just going to ask you.
I got no attention at all.
Me too.
Yeah. And I'm not dissing on my mom. I absolutely love my mom, and she did the best as she could because she was
Overwhelmed.
a single
Yeah.
mom. Single mom,
4 girls.
4 girls. And we were all fucking,
You guys were wild.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just, no matter what I did.
It is interesting as we grow up and we try to like reflect back. I know for a lot of people, it's really hard to give up anger towards our parents. That is a easy place to be able to place why we behave the way that we do, and then not have to change how we behave because they caused it. But I think there's a lot of relief for ourselves when we start to process what was actually going on for them at the time and why. Like, again, we're doing the same thing with failure, right? So we go back and we say, what was going on at that time that might have made it really hard for them to be a parent?
Yeah.
Oh, they were really fucking overwhelmed.
Yeah.
They have 5 children, not enough money, not enough energy, not enough time, not enough anything. and they were just trying to make it, and
They were just doing the best that they could at the time.
Right.
That's what I tell myself now.
Yeah.
So looking
And-
back, you're like, oh,
particularly if
makes more
abuse or neglect or something of that nature happened during that time, it's not that we forgive whoever did that, but we let that anger go so that we can move forward and function moving forward, because being angry at them does not change the situation and it does not change them. We don't forgive them for them. We forgive them for us. So we're not holding on to that hatred anymore.
I like that.
Yeah. Because unfortunately, those also move into the patterns about what we believe about ourselves.
So what do I do about?
So what do you do now?
Yeah, what do we do now? Okay,
So what do we do now? Okay.
stay
so-
on path.
I got you.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
As
yes,
the analytical one over here, we'll
Yes.
keep
right.
them on point.
So we have to
I'll
figure
scotch it.
out what was working before. How do we return to it? How do we return to it more stable, not stabilized, more sustainable? And then we figure out. Oh, light bulb. Who had a light bulb?
I light bulb. So Kelly, I'm gonna need your help with this.
Okay.
So I was going to the gym and I was sharing like the photos I was doing
Uh-huh.
with a friend.
Mhm.
The friend, that's an asshole.
So maybe not.
And the reason why I stopped, this is all goes
Yes.
hand in hand. So I stopped being like the badass in the gym in August when that friend went away, because I was sitting in the photos and
your
like,
brain is like, what's the point of
what's
knowing
going
she's
on?
naked?
Yeah.
Exactly. And then friend comes back and now I'm walking. So it's like, I did self-choose that because I was like, I noticed myself. I even admitted I regained. I did all the things. And now that was like, Dad Rob helped me with like, just get up a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
Then you start doing these things.
Yeah.
But I think I need you where I need to just send you the photos or one of our friend group or something.
Validation. Yeah.
Just put it in the group chat.
I'll just put it in our group
Yeah.
Snap because it was Snap. So that's another thing. Like I like the stupid little dingy
Yeah.
and
It's
it
sort of
makes
motivational.
me all happy.
Yeah.
And so I need someone to like, it's not even accountability. It's just to show like,
Right, because you need that, like, yeah, you did it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the other weird thing as formerly fat people is that we are people that were in larger bodies. We don't want to acknowledge that we need that.
yeah,
Like, I do need validation. I do need encouragement. I do need, like,
Yeah.
I know you think I'm hyper independent and I got it all going. I can do it all myself, which I can. But I would like support. So we have these kind of conversations with
exactly-
ourselves and we say, okay, well, you know what would be motivating to me is if externally I got some feedback about they could tell that I am doing what I feel. So I feel better, or hey, I'm proud of you. Hey, I'm proud of you is a really tough one. I try to tell anyone that I can be like, yo, I'm proud of you. Because that's something almost all of us need to hear.
Yeah.
Especially if you have a friend that works a lot, they might need to hear that you're proud of them.
Yep.
Because that may be part of what's motivating them to produce and produce and produce and produce.
Yep.
Because that's what they need. Okay, so we're gonna figure out what we need to do that's sustainable, and we're gonna forever have grace for ourselves. That when we lay down at night and we haven't moved enough, what was going on today that didn't allow for that? Did I not have good enough boundaries around my time? Did I give it all to everyone else and not myself because I don't feel I'm important and everyone else is important? And then start to kind of go back to say like, yo, I'm important and I deserve to take care of myself. And on the flip side, I also need to have some grace for myself because it may hurt to move my body.
Yeah.
It may not feel good to sweat and be outside. It may not, this just may not be comfortable and I don't like it. And so I have to give myself grace that, again, survivorship, that my body's going to run away from discomfort.
Okay.
And that's okay.
So then so basically you recognize that you've, like for me, regain,
Mhm.
recognize what was working.
Mhm.
What did I take away?
Mhm.
And then slowly ask for help to bring it back in.
Right. And every day reflect back what went well today. What can I do differently? So we're always going to use situations that we feel like failures. That should be a like doo-doo in our brain to say like, there's something to learn here.
Okay.
And the more that we view it as learning, the more our brain will view it as learning and not failure.
Right.
So it'll say, oh, okay, well, that didn't go the way that I wanted it to. So what am I going to do instead? Or what have I tried that's worked? Or now I know what maybe doesn't work. It doesn't work for me to show up at a party and not eat anything.
Tell me if I'm wrong, but part of the learning experience is admitting it too.
Yeah, or and maybe admitting, again, that brings something up with me because that means it feels like I'm doing something wrong. But acknowledging that something isn't working for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or acknowledging I really don't like where this is going. I believe that it's not going in a place I want it to go. So I'm going to acknowledge. So I'm not going to ignore or pretend it's not there. I'm going to like look it in the face and say like, yep, this is reality. And I don't like reality. So I'd like to change it. And I may not know how.
Right.
So now I'm going to just start running some little experiments. Well, if I get up a little earlier, does that feel okay? If I walk just a little further, does that feel okay? Because if you go to the gym for 2 hours after not working out, you're going to hurt and you're never going to do it again.
Yeah.
Please don't do that.
That is true, guys.
Little,
we've learned that so much through this podcast is don't go to the gym and just push because
you'll hurt yourself.
You're going to hurt yourself. You're going to be sore. And then your brain goes, I don't want to do that again.
Right. Why would you go towards pain? You would not go towards pain.
Yeah, because I was in the gym working with a trainer and I hurt my back and I never went back.
Yep.
Right. Right. So you got to find stuff that works for you. And again, that's that sustainability part.
Yeah.
And then everyday reflection. It's not good. It's not bad. It's just, what is it? How did that happen? How did I show up? What worked there? What didn't? So you're allowing yourself, because sometimes what happens is our brain tells us if I think about the painful thing, I will feel pain and it will be bad.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So instead, I'm going to have a curious eye and I'm going to say, that didn't go well. I wonder why. What was going on around that? I wonder what other things attributed to that. Oh, I got in a huge fight right before I walked in there. And then I wasn't very pleasant.
Yeah.
I wonder why,
Mm-hmm.
So we're using this like curious eye and we're like, I'm just being very curious. Like I'm not going to place judgment on how it went. I'm just going to be curious about why it went that way or it didn't go that way. What worked for me, what didn't, because we're always learning until we die.
Yeah.
So you're always learning. You will never understand every situation and anticipate every situation. You can't, because we're humans.
Right.
And the world is mysterious. Thank God.
And keep that curiosity. Kelly's used it.
I got it from
really,
my
really
therapist.
works. And I know that I was doing this before I even thought about it. Like with Eric, if we got into like a little tiff or something, and I always clean after that. That's kind of my coping. Yeah.
It's also your way of letting people know that you're mad.
Cleaning.
Oh yeah.
Because they learned that pattern. So now they know, leave her alone. She's cleaning.
Yep.
You're giving them a visual cue.
I would start thinking about why am I mad?
Mm.
And then I would figure it out, and then I would go tell him. And that was actually after surgery. It took me a lot of time to figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
I would say like 3 years in,
and
I was starting to do that.
Part of that is that you are allowing yourself to come into your body to physically feel anger.
Yeah.
Prior to surgery, that probably didn't feel good, so you just didn't do it.
No.
So
I ate it.
I
did. I will fully admit that, guys.
But I mean, we're all nodding. We're all nodding for a reason.
Did it.
But again, what resources did you have? If you had a better resource, you would have utilized it.
Yeah.
If you felt safe in communicating that to others, you would have.
Yeah.
If you felt that you would not be yelled at, criticized, hurt by saying, I'm upset.
Yeah.
If you are placing, someone would be disappointed in me. I'd rather be beaten than be a disappointment. So that's like, after we have surgery, we often could then check back in with our body and sit in our body. And then we have a little more, we call that distress tolerance. I have a little more tolerance to not feel good. So then I can kind of sit in it and think about it. And then I'm like, oh, well, I'm going to physically get this energy out by cleaning.
Mm-hmm.
And that calms me down enough to like rationally think. So probably bringing your heart rate down a little bit.
It does.
And then you're like, this might be solved with the conversation.
Yeah.
This is how I feel. How do you feel?
Mm-hmm.
This is what is going on for me. What's going on for you? And it sounds like you had some safety in that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was the pattern that kind of, and again, that I-4 with the machete or chainsaw.
Chainsaw's here.
Right. So you figured out that if I chainsaw it enough, the path is safe.
Yeah.
I can see through it.
Well, and it's always like, I would say too, like with your partner, like if they can make that safe place, then that's what happened. Like Eric really did. Like he didn't criticize me with my feelings. It was everything else.
Yeah, I was gonna say the one thing he didn't.
He didn't with my feelings. It was he would actually like stop what he was doing and like listen. And like one time
very
he
emotionally
even
intelligent man.
I think
In that aspect,
yeah. Well, think of just dealing with me because I talk about my emotions. I don't let it go to the wayside because I watched that for so long of my mom and dad never talking about problems, and it would just be this huge fights that would happen every few months or every week or whatever it was. Yeah. And now because of Eric, I was able to think about it and come to him and be like, hey, So what just happened back there? I'm really sorry. And this is why I'm sorry.
And probably the most important part is he was able to accept your apology and not say you're a shitty person for doing that.
Correct. Yeah.
Oh, I could understand why that made you upset. I kind of came at you in a way that wasn't great.
Right.
And I'm, even if they don't say I'm sorry too, but at least acknowledging like what you did wasn't crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you have a partner that's really struggling with some of the stuff and you're like, the basic thing you can do is listen and validate, even if you don't. I could understand why you feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
Or I could understand why you behave that way. You don't necessarily need to say like, oh, you're fine.
Because it's not fine.
Because it's probably not fine what they
Yeah.
just did. But you could at least understand where they're coming, what got them so heated, what got them so upset, what got them so passionate about something that they yelled or they got upset with something. And just saying like, I could understand where you're coming from, but man, we have to figure out a way for us to better deal with this, because this is not working for us.
Yeah.
And again, that distress tolerance for some people, that may work for them.
Right.
Some couples, like I have couples that scream at each other and that's how they get it out. And it's relatively healthy, which I'm always like, because that wouldn't work for me.
That would not work for me.
No, but they both do it equally, which is just fascinating.
That is fascinating.
But that's how they get out emotion, and that works for them because their distress tolerance for that is really high. And for other people, getting excited about something and just having your voice be a little higher is actually brings something up inside. They're angry even when they're not, and their tolerance is low, and that's okay.
Oh,
you just have to figure that out.
I wasn't yelling, but they're like, no, you were.
Right, because you got excited.
Yeah, it's actually like, no, we're all different levels of what that is.
One of the questions you can ask your partner in that stance is, what was coming up for you there?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of what was triggering you. You clearly are triggered.
You're triggered,
You're
man.
triggered. Snowflake. Yeah. So no. So you
I figured something out. I'll tell you after.
Oh,
I might have figured something out.
Okay.
While
Did
we
you
were
write it
talking.
down?
No, it's
you're gonna get it.
Oh
It's
my gosh.
permanently implanted in my brain.
I promised you guys I wasn't going to talk for 2 hours, and I've talked for an hour.
Okay, all right. So we now
We
know
always end it this way.
that
She'll just
all
talk too much.
that all failures,
Right.
quotation mark failures, are just learning experiences
Correct.
that you have to sit in, realize what worked, what didn't work, and then slowly experiment until you are out of that.
Right.
Yeah, so
And
if you hear a
ask
friend
what you
say,
need.
just sit in it, that's what they mean.
Yeah.
Just sit in your feelings,
Yeah.
feel your feelings, figure out your feelings.
And ask for what you need.
And ask for what you need. And I know that Miss Ashlynn is producing journals.
Oh, that's right.
Yes,
And
that could help you.
Yes.
Me and Kelly are very avid journalers.
Yes.
It helps me clear my mind.
I have a
It helps
Hufflepuff
me.
journal.
I literally call it like brain dumping in there.
Yes.
Because we've learned it doesn't have to be pretty.
Nope.
It can be
perfect.
a
Yeah,
list.
it
It can
doesn't have to
literally
make
be all
sense.
over the place.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
So tell us about your journal.
Okay, so I have 2 journals so far with a goal of 4.
Okay.
So I have a pre-op and a post-op.
Okay.
And I plan to also have a maintenance and a regain, which we'll call weight recurrence. So in the therapy world, we call that weight recurrence because obesity is lifelong.
Weight recurrence.
So it's not regain, it's
It's
recurrence.
okay.
So it's a
Okay.
recurrence.
All right.
So the first 2 are going to be out hopefully by the time this podcast airs.
Yay!
I just put myself on a deadline.
That's right. It will be in the description below.
Yep. And I'm going to have a coupon code,
For us.
and we're probably going to make it
LP.
Mhm.
Yeah. So you guys will get discount. We'll figure out what that is.
Yay!
Because I still have to figure out how to do that. But in this journal, in the front, there's going to be 10 key skills that you need to master from a mental health. So this is a mental health journal. This is not for tracking your calories or if you've drank enough water. So the
That you get that on our website.
That's right. I was gonna say,
Yeah,
I'm gonna
our
plug
that
that.
on
Yes.
our website. Yeah.
Yes. But this one, so the front is going to be 10 key skills where I teach the skill. So like using failure as learning.
Experience.
That's one of the sections. And then there's some reflection questions just for you to like get thinking about it. You don't even have to write it in there, just for you to just get thinking. And then the back part is going to be tracking for these things that don't go well that I'm going to do better tomorrow.
Mhm.
So there's like one section. So what I'm trying to focus on is a mindset around reflection,
Okay.
problem solving, and then tracking some goals that
Okay.
are not weight related.
Okay.
I like
And what we do is we're only thinking about the next step. So there's a little section that's going to be like next step.
Oh, I like
And
that.
then not like 8 steps.
Right.
Just the next one I'm going to do, maybe when I'm going to do it. And then we're also going to track like some of your moods, so we can start to see if there's patterns. Because sometimes it's helpful for us, because the whole kind of idea of writing this down is so that we can go back and reflect back, and we could say, there's this weird pattern that happens when, I have family that's about to be in town, and that's interesting. I have here and here and here. I had a lot of learning experiences, and then we're also going to do some gratitude. So what went well today that I'm grateful for? What am I looking forward to tomorrow? So we're always looking forward, but we're also from a point of gratitude, because again, just like we talked about, the more that I think about something, the more I'm going to think about something.
Yeah.
So the more that I think about what I'm grateful for helps me be grateful for the things that I have, and makes me look for the things that I am grateful for are more in that positive light. And then there's something else that's on that page, and I can't remember. That's all good.
That's okay.
So
if you go buy it, you will have it.
Yes, we will have it linked below, and the code will be OSLP. And then we also will have it in our link tree on all of our social media. So
It'll make it easy for
yeah,
you
of
guys.
course.
Yeah.
So go and purchase the tracker or the journal.
I know we're gonna get one. I want one.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it
yes,
live and in person.
Yes.
I hope to maybe bring some next year.
Ooh, okay.
Yes, so that we have them for the Just Be You Awards.
Yay!
Oh, I love that.
Yay!
Because that will be in April of 2025, April 12th in
St. Louis, Missouri.
That's right.
Yes, and
That
we're
would be
gearing
great
up.
for all of our attendants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that means I get to bring one of my other favorite bariatric therapists to help me man the table.
Oh,
So I
yeah.
could be like fun and present. She can run the table.
Love
Ooh,
it.
okay.
So you have to guess who I'm talking about. I'm curious if that person comes to me and be like, "Are you talking about me?" The answer will be yes.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for being in the studio. So glad. This was great and so much insight, and I can't.
Yeah, this
I
one was
can't wait.
chock full, man.
I
It
know.
was
I
chock
needed this
full.
though. This is like perfect.
Yeah,
timing.
yeah, for
Agreed.
sure.
Agreed.
But I think
I've
for
had
both
some
of us.
connections
Yeah.
in my brain.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, guys.
Well, we love you guys, and we will see you next time. Bye. My hand was cut off. I gotta go this way.